I showed you the other week some of what the Federal Climate and Energy Minister Mr Bowen has been saying overseas. This bloke seems to be willfully blind to the energy crisis in Europe, the UK and California for that matter. And he's pretending that more of the same, more of what they've done, that is force out coal generation and shun gas generation and push for more renewables, well, he's pretending that more of the same will produce a different result in Australia. We're rushing headlong into an energy crisis every bit as bad as Europe. And this is because our prices are already soaring for starters, and we're going to face supply problems, more likely, of course, in our summer, because that's when our demand is highest. And Bowen's arrogance has been on full display in recent weeks as he and other Labor ministers have mocked this comment from the Liberals' Susan Lee on this program.
Because we know we're not going to have electric vehicles tomorrow, and no one in the world is making an electric ute, by the way, and even if they were, it would be unaffordable.
Well, yes, when she said that, I thought about some big US electric pickups being made, but you can't buy them here, and they're hardly utes, nor affordable. But full of hubris, full of green zealotry, Bowen has been keen to mock Lee.
She said, there is no firm in the world that's making electric utes at the moment. No company in the world. Now, order. She has a point. I'm always fair, Mr Speaker, she has a point. But there are some small boutique firms making electric utes. Honourable members might not have heard of them. Mitsubishi, Ford and General Motors. But apart from that, there's very few, Mr Speaker.
Oh, the big gotcha, hey? Sure enough, on his taxpayer-funded trip to the US the past week or so, talk about minimising your emissions, Bowen posed with an electric Ford, which of course is a pickup truck, not a ute. Poor old utes seem to have gone the way of the home telephone. So it's hardly like for like, but the point is this vehicle is huge, it's expensive, it has a distance range, even at the top of the price range, of only about 160 or 200 kilometres while towing a load, and it's not available in Australia. Not to be outdone, Bowen is pushing for electric prime movers as well. Does this technology exist? Sure, but is it affordable, readily available, and most importantly, practical in this country? No, it's not. So Susan Lee in the main is right. Regional Australia in particular cannot switch to electric vehicles anytime soon, and Bowen and Labor are exposed for chasing their electric green dream, forsaking what works, what we need, and what the country can afford. They're more interested in climate change ideology than they are in keeping Australians in their jobs and giving us access to reliable and affordable energy. And that's been demonstrated elsewhere when it comes to the energy grid. In Western Australia, which is not in the national electricity grid, the regulator has just allowed for an extra $1 billion to be spent on transmission infrastructure to link up with renewable energy instalments. That's more than 10% than they had previously. Now, why is this important? Well, to get more wind and solar farms linked into the grid anywhere, including on the East Coast, Labor expects at least $100 billion will need to be spent on extra transmission lines. And the point is, all this infrastructure has to make a return, a profit, and we all have to pay for it. We all have to pay for a profit on a $100 billion investment. So the transmissions costs are a big factor in our increasing electricity bills. They're going to they're a cost, of course, that politicians don't like to talk about because they keep pushing renewables as the cheapest form of energy. Like Anastasia Palaszczuk yesterday announcing a massive new government-owned wind farm in Queensland that she thinks might be a tourist attraction.
I think we should have viewing platforms for families to come out here and actually see what is in their own backyard. It's just over a 2.5-hour drive from Brisbane.
What a great idea, a tourist attraction, a lookout over the wind turbines that provide intermittent power. What we need, what most people would prefer, is power that's there when they need it and is affordable.